A system announcement appeared with the text of the renewal advertisement. Dear players, all servers of UNDEAD will be suspended for maintenance from 0:00 to 8:00 tomorrow morning. This maintenance is mainly to adjust and improve existing problems. We apologize for any inconvenience. 1. Server optimization to improve stability. 2. Winter fashion updates. 3. Fix the slow attack issue of archers. The three said goodbye to each other. Get some rest, see you tomorrow. The log-out announcement was being made. Luna returned to reality, sat down, and stroked the cat she raised, muttering, Jean Yu, ah fei. The sound of the door turning echoed. The housekeeper opened the door and announced, by young miss, the master is looking for you. She coughed lightly a few times as a reminder. Housekeeper Lu coughed repeatedly and said, I've told you many times, knock before entering. Seeing that she was still lingering and unwilling to leave, Housekeeper Lu reminded her, by young miss, hurry up, the master doesn't like to wait. The clatter of a wheelchair echoed in the hallway. Housekeeper Lu pushed her to the door of the master's room and said, I won't go in with you, go in by yourself. She knocked lightly on the door a few times and said, Father, Soul is here. She waited for a long time, but there was no response from inside. She opened the door and went in. The inside was like a miniature aquarium. Schools of fish swam happily on the ceiling and walls. In the middle of the room was a desk, and her father was intently writing something. She pushed her wheelchair to the desk and said, Father, you were looking for me. He stopped writing, looked up at her, and asked, by Soul, I heard you passed the preliminary round. She coughed a few times and nodded in response, yes, that's right. He continued coldly, the second round will start next month. If you've participated, you must make it to the final round, don't embarrass me. She immediately replied, yes, Father. As soon as she finished speaking, he ordered, you can leave now. Meanwhile, Fei and Lu Li were leisurely walking down the street. Ah Fei suggested, in winter, we have to eat hot pot, bro, there's a place up ahead, I heard all the ingredients there are fresh every day, transported from Sichuan, the taste is authentic and delicious. The two arrived in front of a hot pot restaurant called Sichuan-style hot pot. In front of the door were two beautiful girls, dressed scantily, who were inviting customers. The two girls cheerfully said, welcome, bosses. Ah Fei also waved back and said, hey, I told you last time, if I come again, you have to give me your WeChat. The two entered the restaurant and sat at a hot pot table, where the steam was rising in thick clouds, looking very appetizing. Ah Fei kept picking up food. Beef, tripe, duck blood, bullfrog, peas, I'm going to eat it all today. Lu Li, on the other hand, was slow and gentlemanly. You have to dip the tripe 7 times and lift it 8 times, if you leave it like that, it'll be tough. The hot pot at this restaurant is pretty good, but a little spicy. Ah Fei, add some sesame oil to protect your intestines and avoid stomach discomfort tomorrow. While he was eating, he heard the table next to him discussing the game he was playing. A bald man said, this illusory moon game is too unrealistic. The person opposite him asked, huh? The bald man hurriedly explained, our organization has more than 40 people, all doing the same mission, and the results are all different. You know what's even more unbelievable? The man opposite him urged, tell me quickly. The bald man continued, it's clearly a level 18 mission, but the difficulty is disproportionate. The simplest thing is catching a level 5 rabbit. But the difficulty is equivalent to killing a level 35 epic boss. The other person was surprised, huh, how can you play like that? The bald man waved the fan in his hand, but I can't help but admire it. I've never seen a game that can do this, but I'm still confused. What do you think? Is this mission really created randomly, or does it change depending on the person? The other person held a half-smoked cigarette in one hand, chopsticks in the other, and blew on the meat in his mouth, saying, it's really never been seen before. Lu Li was also thinking about what the man at the next table said about whether it was random or changed depending on the person. A system announcement appeared, mission, a random mission has been generated, get the NPC girl to the Divine Light Society safely, and kill the Pig King with the help of the Divine Light Society. Note, if the NPC is obstructed during the game, the mission will fail. If the Pig King cannot be killed in the end, the mission will also fail. He remembered the scene of the Pig King crying miserably and calling Dim Sum's name, although it was very difficult. When he thought about being able to become human, to be able to see Dim Sum again, she would definitely be very happy, and he was full of motivation again. But not everyone can possess a divine light body, only the most devout believers can have a divine light body. Game rules at that time. Why did I suddenly switch to the boss identity? Boss error advertising, Jean you descended. Why even the hack I created myself is starting to deviate from the logic of the achievement dictionary, random mission error, error adjusting random mission, attacking the Divine Light Society Guild Master, if the mission fails, the character will die instantly. Lu Li was thinking, what's the cause of all this? It's time to check the data warehouse. A large amount of source code being rewritten is leading to what? Are the rewritten source code and the Genesis Luna mentioned related? He remembered the words Luna said this afternoon. Why are NPCs and monsters in the game starting to differ from the original script trajectory? The quests are no longer consistent either, there are so many detailed paths. All these things are related to Genesis. Can this suddenly appearing Luna be trusted at all? Are all these things a lighthouse guiding me to the Avicii hell, or are they whirlpools and reefs engulfing me, defeating me? I originally thought I had everything in my grasp, but countless unexpected things keep happening. Brother, am I getting closer to or further away from the goal? The waitress was dressed in an outfit like beachwear, only covering what needed to be covered. She wore a bunny ear headband and brought over a tray of food. Sorry for the long wait, here are your 5 orders of egg fried rice. Ah Fei stopped eating, happily took the tray, and replied, I was waiting for this. 5 steaming bowls of egg fried rice were placed neatly on the table. Ah Fei stood up, took a bowl of egg fried rice, and handed it to Lu Li, smiling, Big brother, I'll eat 3 bowls. This one is for you. Outside, heavy snow covered everything in white. At the orphanage, Yi Xiao rushed in from outside, worriedly asking, Little Ah Fei, why is your nose so red from crying? Lu Li squatted on the floor, looking gloomy, and replied, Our beds were spilled with dirty stuff, and someone else's pee is on it too. Ah Fei held the teddy bear in his hand, wiped away tears from his face, and sighed, It's so cold like this, how are we going to sleep? Yi Xiao knew who did it without needing to be told. Damn it, it's that jerk again, I won't go easy on him this time. Lu Li replied, his matron mother took him away. Xiao turned to the door, then I'll go find the teacher and ask her to change us to another single bed. Lu Li retorted, I already went to see her. She said the head of the orphanage instructed that this winter, each person only gets 1 set, and they can't give us more. Right now, there's a high wind warning, blizzard, and the temperature is -18 degrees Celsius. The 3 of them huddled together under a thin blanket. Yi Xiao comforted the other 2, It's okay, let's squeeze together for a bit, and we'll win if we endure until the bedsheets are dry and we don't get sick. As soon as he finished speaking, Ah Fei, who was sitting in the middle, sneezed and asked, Is life always this hard? Why do we have to endure these bad intentions when we haven't done anything wrong? Lu Li, sitting next to him, replied, Life is a sea of bitterness, you get used to suffering, and maybe it won't be so bitter anymore. Hearing this, Yi Xiao also smiled and chimed in, If life is very hard and difficult, then don't think too far ahead, just think clearly about what you want to do tomorrow. I hope I can go out and find a part-time job and earn a lot of money. Lu Li expressed his wish, I want to study hard. Only Ah Fei, with his foodie soul, said, I want to eat 3 bowls of egg fried rice. The other 2 burst out laughing. Yi Xiao asked again, I didn't hear wrong, right? 3 bowls of egg fried rice. Lu Li also chimed in, one person wants to eat 3 bowls, teased by his 2 brothers. Ah Fei sulked and replied, Humph, then I want 5 bowls and I'll give you each 1 bowl. Escaping from the old memories, Lu Li, while enjoying the egg fried rice, thought, that's right, just knowing what you want to do tomorrow is enough. Countless snowflakes appeared on the screen, along with the adorable appearance of the little sprite assistant. She said, Master, the kingdom of Tepanai, which is 15 kilometers east of you, is currently holding a large-scale event. Kingdom of Tepanai, part of the brave, you can receive a large amount of experience and money in this event. And there are also extremely many rare equipment and valuable props waiting for you that day. Hurry up and call your friends to participate. The kingdom of Tepanai is one of the 12 great nations. The kingdom of Tepanai, where the people are simple and generous, the mountains in the territory produce a lot of iron, so the mining and forging industry is very developed and praised as the land of weapons. Surrounded by dense forests is where a prosperous kingdom develops. There, you can see castles surrounding the inside of the city walls. That is the kingdom of Tepanai. At this time, the registration time for the event in this kingdom, Kingdom of Tepanai, Heart of the Brave, is only 1 minute left. Everyone in the hall crowded and jostled to register. Standing high up was a figure wearing full body armor, holding a majestic staff guarding the gate. You could see that the gate was crowded with people jostling to register for this event. A sigh came out. Hurry up and get out of my way. I'm going to be late. Hurry up and get out of my way. Seeing the crowded situation, others angrily said, why are there so many people? I'm going to die. Then suddenly the gatekeeper spoke. The number of registrants is full. Brave warriors, please return. At the same time, Lu Li, Ah Fei, and Luna arrived. Lu Li took out a bag of money and stuffed it into the guard's hand in his astonished eyes, and then the three of them leisurely entered the territory. Seeing that the gatekeeper said that the number of people was full, but they were still allowed to pass, one person spoke up in dissatisfaction, hey, what are you letting them in based on? That's right, based on what? Hearing the warriors were a bit riotous, the gatekeeper calmly replied as if nothing had happened, who went in? I didn't see anyone. Seeing that passing through the gate was so easy, and the three of them looked so relaxed, Ah Fei secretly thought, this game is too realistic. Isn't it? At this time, the registration time for the Kingdom of Tepanai, Heart of the Brave event was only 9 seconds left. When they passed through the gate, in front of them was the scenery of a castle floating in the sky, with forests and mountains below. Surprised, Ah Fei asked, hey, isn't this the Kingdom of Te something? Why are there still forests and mountains? With his experience, Lu Li softly replied, we've probably only just entered the territory of the Kingdom of Tepanai. We have to continue to go to the center of the city. At this time, the system screen appeared. Registration time left, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. As soon as the countdown finished, walls appeared from the void, slamming hard into the ground, followed by a series of other walls surrounding the territory of this kingdom. Seeing this, the three of them were surprised. Ah Fei suspiciously asked, this reminds me of a cartoon, are giant flesh-eating creatures going to appear later? Hearing what Ah Fei said wasn't wrong, Lu Li continued, traps. Seeing the large walls appear, Luna gave her judgment, these walls aren't about 50 to 60 meters high, are they? Then a frame appeared from the sky, which seemed to be a screen. Seeing this, Ah Fei pointed at it and asked, what's that now? Then from that screen appeared the figure of a person dressed neatly, with something on his head that looked like a fish. He seemed to be testing the mic. Hello, hello, can anyone hear me? Hello. Standing next to him was a large young man, dressed in a neat black vest, who seemed to be a bodyguard. He announced that the projector and image amplifier had no problems. Hearing this, the grand man softly replied coldly, yes. Then, as if taking a breath to prepare to speak, ahem, welcome warriors from all over to gather here. My name is Hua de Shui, and I am the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Tepanai, and also the host of this selection. First, I will briefly talk about the reason for inviting you warriors here. Then the screen showed an image of the king and queen holding a baby in their arms, and then Hua de Shui continued, that was a spring day 18 years ago. His Majesty the King, majestic, extraordinarily brave, wise, and loving his people like his own children, and Her Majesty the Queen, with her national beauty and virtue, gave birth to a lively and lovely princess, who was especially intelligent, and everyone loved her. Seeing that the introduction was probably a bit lengthy, the bodyguard next to him softly reminded, sir, just keep it simple. Hearing this, de Shui softly replied and continued, yes. As time passed, the princess gradually grew up and also began to reveal a face that could melt ice and snow, and make 100 flowers bloom, even causing butterflies to flutter their wings. Next, there was an image of a charming princess in a charming evening gown and a gorgeous crown on her head. De Shui continued to praise, the princess is a treasure given by heaven, an incarnation of the divine, and also the most noble and beautiful femininity in the hearts of the people. Then, the bodyguard next to him softly reminded again, sir, it's almost lunch break in 2 minutes. Hearing this, de Shui's face panicked. He quickly sped up his speech. The princess was captured by a fierce dragon. The king wants to choose the strongest warrior to rescue the princess. Hearing these concise words, the bodyguard seemed to praise, and said proudly, sir, that's a good summary. Then, de Shui clenched his hands tightly. He slammed the table and began to continue, the cause and effect of this story. You warriors have probably all understood. The king knows that the dragon possesses unparalleled power. so he specially organized this competition to select the most outstanding person. Next, I will announce the selection rules. Currently, the total number of warriors participating in this race is 10,000 people. We will give each warrior a warrior card. Then immediately an imprint appeared on everyone's head next to which there was the number 1. Seeing this, Ah Fei curiously asked, "What is the warrior card for?" Hearing Ah Fei's question, Luna calmly gave her speculation, "It's probably for the game to collect something." Without wasting any more time, De Shuei continued, "I believe you have all guessed part of it. This is a competition to collect warrior cards. The competition time is 7 days. After 7 days, only the warriors with a warrior card ranked within the top 100 can advance. 10,000 people advance. 100 people. The ratio is 100 to 1, equivalent to among 100 warriors. Only one person can pass the selection, so how do you get the warrior card? There are a total of 3 ways. The first way is the simplest way, which is to search for warrior cards scattered in many places. They can appear in any corner. The second way is to kill monsters in the kingdom's territory. Note that the monsters have many hero cards, but the monsters will also be very strong. The third and most effective way is to steal hero cards from others. The number of hero cards above each hero's head is visible to everyone. The more hero cards a hero possesses, the higher the threat level. This time, the guard beside Duk Tui gently reminded, "Sir, you're 5 minutes over your lunch break." Upon hearing that it had been more than 5 minutes, Duk Tui's eyes widened. He stammered, 5 minutes, and then sped up, quickly concluding his presentation. The selection rules will be discussed up to this point for now. Other rules will be discussed next time. As he finished speaking, a system notification appeared on the screen, announcing that the hero card contest had officially begun, along with the remaining time of the competition. The countdown timer shows 168 hours remaining. After listening to that introduction, the Lu Li group strolled around. Lu Li walked and announced to the other 2, "Let's go, we'll walk a bit more and then discuss our strategy." Suddenly, 3 other people appeared on the road, one with a sword at his side, one with his head covered by a box with cut-out eyes, nose, and mouth, and the last one was a very cute girl. The one with the sword said, "Hi, do you guys want to form a team? This kind of activity is definitely more beneficial with more people. I plan to form a group of 100 people to quickly create an advantage and widen the gap with others. How about joining our team?" Lu Li turned his back, indicating that he didn't need their goodwill, but he still politely replied, "Sorry, we're not planning on doing that for the time being." Hearing his rejection, the man's eyes turned sinister and venomous. "You don't even understand the principle of the big fish eats the small fish, a bunch of ignorant people who can't think. If I see you again, I'll definitely swallow you whole." After the 3 had walked for a while, Ah Fei opened his mouth to ask, "Brother, what that guy said earlier makes sense. Why did we refuse?" Lu Li coldly replied, "Blindly increasing the number of people isn't necessarily a good thing. More small fish just mean more prey for fewer sharks, who remain the hunters." Elsewhere, the system notification of completing a mission sounded along with the image of the illusory moon walker. "Congratulations, you have completed a random mission. Random rewards are now being distributed to you. Your reward this time is Mythic Level Guild Creation Item, Godslayer's Oath. The owner can use this item to establish a guild. Increasing the number of people in the guild can get special effects. The basic effect is that all the properties of the guild members are increased by 10. When the number of people reaches 20, the movement speed, attack speed, and release speed of guild members are increased by 20%. When the number of people reaches 50, guild members receive equal strength. The effect of equal strength is to increase the low attributes of guild members to the average value of all guild members. When the number of people reaches 100, they can launch 100 people to kill gods together. The scene cuts back to the 3 Lu Li, Luna, and Ah Fei who are now collecting hero cards using Method 2. Lu Li powerfully destroys a huge monster, and immediately 15 hero cards are added to his total. Luna is no less impressive. She destroys a monster and receives 10 hero cards. As for Ah Fei, he reveals his strength by destroying 5 slightly smaller monsters in 1 minute, and 5 hero cards are added to his total. At this moment, the 3 of them all possess a not-so-low number of hero cards and are standing on a large branch. Spotting the next monster, Ah Fei quickly says, "Let me take this one." Below is a monster with 10 hero cards above its head and a slightly eerie horn. As quick as the wind, Ah Fei jumps off the branch, unleashing fireball technique. The monster is finally destroyed, but the number of hero cards added to his total is only 5. Realizing that he had been robbed, he angrily said, "Damn it, where did this bandit come from daring to steal my hero cards?" Little Pepper, hearing this, looked uncomfortable and asked, "Bandit, you ill-mannered brat, damn you." Immediately after, she rushes towards Ah Fei as if to take revenge. "What the hell did I steal from you? It's clear that I discovered it first." As she got closer, Ah Fei realized that the bandit he was talking about was a girl, and he stuttered. This girl, let's talk slowly." Then, he quickly runs away. Little Pepper chases closely behind, responding with imposing momentum, "Hand over all your hero cards to me, and then I'll talk to you nicely." The scene at the moment is surrounded by smoke and fire, extremely brutal. Ah Fei explains, "Oh my, a good boy doesn't fight with a girl, don't force me to be uncivilized." Little Pepper says, "So what if I force you? I'll force you into pulp." Knowing that he couldn't win, among the most effective plans, telling his older brother was probably Ah Fei's ultimate plan, he shouted loudly, "Brother." Seeing that this fierce girl had been controlled by his brother's sword, Ah Fei breathed a sigh of relief and appeared disdainful. "Phew, little sister, you're still too weak to fight Ah Fei. However, don't think that Ah Fei is the only one who has someone to tell," Little Pepper muttered, "stealing my hero cards, scolding me, and running away with a plan." And then she shouted, "Sister." Suddenly, a loud explosion came from afar. A dark shadow quickly rushed to attack Ah Fei from behind. Seeing this, Luna rushed out to remind, "Ah Fei, be careful." The person rushing over was an older sister with 50 hero cards. Her left hand grabbed Ah Fei's shirt, her right hand tightly gripped her sword. Luna couldn't stand it. Ah Fei weakly said, "Strong, too much strength, cough cough, I'm going to die, I'm going to die." On this side is Little Pepper in Lu Li's hands, on the other side is that girl with Luna and Ah Fei in her hands. How will things continue? The older sister's hands still tightly gripped Ah Fei and Luna. Her eyes were angry that her younger sister was being bullied. She said to Ah Fei, "It's not good for boys to bully girls." Seeing that it had been quite a while and she still couldn't escape the older sister's strength, Luna thought to herself, her stat strength is too high. It's like being clamped by iron pliers. Seeing that Ah Fei's complexion was not good, knowing that she needed to think of a way, Luna's eyes showed urgency. "Ah Fei is about to be finished, quickly think of a way." Then, a beam of bright blue light radiated out. The older sister closed her eyes tightly. It turned out that this light was from Luna's move, light, too dazzling. The older sister reluctantly released Luna. Knowing that the opportunity had come, Luna quickly launched a counterattack. A series of shockwaves erupted along the path of Luna's sword, along with streaks of light streaking horizontally and vertically. The situation had now fallen into a one-on-one battle between Luna and the older sister. The blue light summoned by Luna and the red-orange light emitted by the older sister collided, and then a loud explosion sounded. Seeing that the strength of that little girl was extraordinary, the older sister's hand tightened around Ah Fei's neck. Her foot had just landed after the counterattack just now. She said, "Little sister, your skills are pretty good." Seeing that her opponent was unfazed by her attack, Luna also replied, "You are also very good." Saying that, Luna's eyes were determined. Her hand reached out for her sword as if preparing for the next attack. After the attack just now, Luna realized the next thing she needed to pay attention to if she wanted to save Ah Fei. She thought to herself, "I must pay attention to her strength and speed advantages, create opportunities to force her to make mistakes." Saying that, Luna swung her sword. A stream of green gas flew straight towards the older sister. That was the moon will skill, and immediately the stream of gas just flew to. The navigator lifted his feet off the ground, quickly dodging Luna's attack just now. While the navigator was flying, Luna saw her weakness. While the navigator hadn't touched the ground yet, Luna gripped her sword tightly and charged towards the navigator. Discovering the opponent's scheme, the navigator quickly put Ah Fei forward, intending to use Ah Fei as a shield. Realizing that her scheme had been discovered, Luna stopped in her tracks. While Luna was reluctant to attack, the navigator used a blow to knock Luna away. Luna went to where Lu Li was standing. Just reached out to support Luna. Lu Li asked, "Are you okay?" Luna at this time cannot stand steady. Tired, she replied, "Cough cough, sorry, cannot save." Ah Fei heard the conversation between the two of them. Little Chili arrogantly replied, "Humph, my sister was a professional player before." the three of you together are not her opponent. After regaining her composure, Luna continued to save Ah Fei. Let me try again, this time I won't be careless. Hearing Luna being so stubborn, little Chili could only throw cold water on Luna's momentum. No matter how many times she tried, the result was still the same. Hearing that Luna wanted to fight with him again, the navigator extended his hand forward, his eyes arrogant as he said, "No, my sister has no interest in fighting with you." Then the navigator pointed at the jar and said, "Tell that boy to come here, I want to fight him." Seeing that the navigator's intention was to fight with her, Lu Li did not hesitate to say, "Luna, you rest a bit, let me try." Knowing that she could not stop Lu Li, Luna could only remind him, "Be careful, that person is indeed very strong." Hearing her sister's request, little Chili vaguely guessed her sister's intention. "Sister, it's not like you want to." Not waiting for his sister to finish speaking, the navigator quickly stated his intention. "That's right, if he kills him then he can add 10 points to her." Saying that the navigator used his technique, the dungeon technique. Immediately a cage enveloped Ah Fei, who was currently trying to breathe with difficulty. Cough cough cough. The surrounding scene was strangely quiet at this moment, as if something big was about to happen. Lu Li approached the navigator, killing intent emanating from both of them, overwhelming all other auras at the moment. As the greetings were over, the two began a match that seemed hard to say who would win. Lu Li rushed in with his red glowing sword about to clash with the navigator with his strong hands. The two fought each other, causing rocks and dirt to fly everywhere, and explosions continued to occur. At this moment inside the dungeon, Ah Fei was already more stable, terrified of the navigator's strength, something that was hard to see in a woman. This woman was so strong that she could fight on par with her second brother. Not only did Ah Fei realize that Lu Li's opponent was formidable, but little Chili also realized that the person fighting her sister was also a master. How could this person be so strong? Since her sister started playing until now, this was the first person who could fight her sister for so long. Thinking about this, she was worried about her sister. If this continued, she was afraid that her sister would. Luna's eyes were always following the battle between the two of them. She secretly commented, both of them were top experts, their fighting style felt especially fierce. Lu Li's movements were calm, like a computer. To the difficult questions that his opponents kept asking, he could always quickly come up with the correct answer. This boxer's attacks were neat and decisive, without a single wasted move, truly befitting the title of professional player, as her sister said. Then there was a loud bang. Both of them were thrown far away. This could be a time for both of them to rest. Then the navigator said, "Another 10 points, very good, meets the requirements." Finished speaking, her eyes full of invitation, she opened her mouth. "I ask you a question, do you accept a girl taller than you?" Hearing these words, his face was filled with confusion. He looked at the navigator and asked again, "Huh?" Hearing her sister giving in like that, Chili sighed and said, "Sister, didn't we say we wouldn't go on blind dates online anymore?" This time, the confusion spread to Luna. She froze and asked about blind dates. Seeing that no one understood what she meant, the navigator put on a seductive expression, licked her lips and continued, "With my hard-trained sixth sense, I cannot be mistaken. This man before me is definitely a high-quality man with a score of over 80 points. I absolutely cannot miss this opportunity." As soon as she finished speaking, the navigator's memory flashed back. It was the image of her participating in a competition with her teammates. In the past, her mind only had video games, entering the esports path for 10 years, although she achieved a few achievements in the matches, but a person who only focused on playing games like her still did not have a single love affair. The navigator's figure is always alone even though she herself is good-looking. Then she said what she wanted now, which is love. "I want a sweet love," she said. Then her face suddenly turned red, shy, but she still boldly confessed. Based on the experience of thousands of love affairs in the game, there was no way she could miss this man in front of her. "Big brother, do you want to have a sweet love affair online with me?" The confession was over. At this moment, her two hands pressed hard against the ground, an earthquake and shockwaves were emitted. Seeing the cracked ground, but Lu Li was not afraid. He flatly refused, "No." Hearing that, the navigator's previous momentum was reduced to a minimum. She stood frozen. Then, a crashing sound was heard. It turned out that Lu Li had broken the dungeon technique to save Ah Fei. Seeing this, Ah Fei softly advised his brother, "Second brother, although I was strangled a bit, I didn't plan on letting Ah Fei continue speaking." Lu Li interrupted him, "Don't talk too much, Ah Fei's tone changed to this pleading, brother, you've never been in love with anyone until now. This kind of initiative is quite suitable for you. Hearing the sentence never loved anyone before from Ah Fei's mouth, the navigator's eyes were filled with love. She secretly gave Lu Li 10 points because he was abstinent, another 10 points for his coldness, and 50 points because he was a pure man in her opinion. At this moment she realized that her heart was beating so fast. Maybe this was the feeling of being shot by Cupid's arrow. She wondered, is this the feeling of love? Suddenly a small chilly voice rang out, pulling the navigator back to reality. Sister, you really got hit by an arrow. Back to the present, the navigator's right shoulder was indeed pierced by an arrow. She was bewildered. When they realized it, the 5 of them were surrounded by a group of people carrying many warrior cards. What would happen to the 5 of them? A robber with a bold appearance and a large bald patch on his head looked at the group with greedy eyes. Brothers, go steal the meat and eat it. Leave the tallest woman to me. Whoever is faster will have the brave warrior certified as theirs. Right now, inside the open space, 2 teams were roaring at each other. Seeing the situation, he coldly observed and whispered, Ah Fei, prepare to break through the encirclement and send a signal to Luna. Seeing this, Ah Fei immediately got into a ready position. On the other side, little Chili saw that the situation was getting tense, so she turned to her sister and said, Big sis, you take care of me first. The white-haired girl behind her nodded, while the navigator felt that things were progressing a bit slowly and muttered, damn it, you actually ruined my ambassador, don't expect any of them to live. The robber saw everything was in place, his eyes looked fiercely forward, he shouted loudly to attack. Suddenly a bright red light appeared and spread out around. The sudden flash of light startled everyone. They looked up at the crimson sky, confused, and shouted loudly, what's going on? Where did this red light come from? What's going on? Is it the other side's skill? Everyone had their own opinion, but in their hearts they all had a look of panic. Looking up in the sky, a system panel appeared. The moment the system panel appeared, people were shocked. They immediately told each other, hey, look, that screen appeared again. The screen flickered, split into bizarre red and blue sections floating in the air. A mysterious guide said urgently, the Azure Crimson Rose has begun, my lord. Please preside over the explanation. An annoyed voice responded, so noisy, can't you see I'm taking a nap? You explain it. The guide, helpless, turned on the machine and began to announce the rules of the competition. Greetings, esteemed warriors, we must explain a rule to everyone in order to increase the difficulty of this selection and test your ability to improvise. In the Tepanai Kingdom, the Azure Crimson Rose event will occur. The blue zone is a blessing, containing stat buffs, rare equipment, and special treasures that are randomly updated. The red zone is punishment, containing debuffs, explosions, death, and temporal chaos, randomly updated. The guide paused briefly to allow everyone to understand, then continued, the rules for this time have been broadcast. Next time, we will explain even more new rules to everyone. Good luck, warriors. The guide's face broke into a forced smile, and the screen went dark. As soon as the announcement ended, a few perceptive people realized they were in the red zone and immediately ran toward the blue zone. The sound of panicked footsteps startled the remaining people awake. Everyone couldn't help but shout in panic, we're in the red zone now, forget those guys, let's get out of here first, it's more important to save our lives. The whole team retreated. Before the noise died down, the red system panel reappeared, but this time, unlike the previous one, the system was entirely red. The panel read, the punishment for this area is temporal chaos. Explanation, warriors entering this area will be randomly teleported to any location in the Tepanai Kingdom. As the blood-red text disappeared, a red light enveloped each player. Everyone scrambled on all fours, running toward the blue zone, but before they could leave the red barrier, they were each teleported away. On remained still, quietly assessing the situation. Ah Fei asked, second brother, what do we do? Luna analyzed, it's probably too late to run now. An said, if we end up near each other after the teleport, our main priority will be collecting hero and warrior certificates. Let's meet up in the central area. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 of them were teleported to different locations in 3 beams of red light. With the chaos of temporal teleportation, everyone in this area vanished, leaving only emptiness. The red beams of light gradually disappeared, leaving behind an empty void. The system panel reappeared, counting down 152 hours, remaining players, 80-87. Tepanai Kingdom, map coordinates X, 300, Y, 50. The sky was quiet, the wind rustling through the trees. Suddenly, an explosion thundered, a group of people lay sprawled on the ground. A girl with large gloves in her hands approached the bandit leader. Seeing this, the bandit leader couldn't help but shout, "Spare me, Grandma, I won't do it again." As he shouted, he retreated backward, nearly bumping into a large tree. He continued, "Let me live, I can give you money." The girl's gloves glowed. Flames began to engulf her left hand. She gathered her strength and punched the bandit leader, slamming him against the large tree, creating large cracks. She said annoyedly, "A fly in my wine, how annoying." Above her head, the number of warrior points she had was 231. After finishing off the bandit leader and his men, she began to reminisce about the past and analyzed, "Oh no, I forgot to tell him my name, I need to find him quickly, his name must be very nice, what would be a good name for my future child?" As she said this, she couldn't help but giggle. Tepanai Kingdom, map coordinates X, 400, Y, 292. A scene of Otino and Ah Fei shaking hands appeared. Ah Fei spoke first. "Ah Fei here, pleased to make your acquaintance." Otino also said, "Call me Otino, I'm so spicy I fly." Ah Fei, finding the girl's introduction interesting, followed suit, "So spicy you fly, sounds like you're very good at eating spicy food." Otino said, "Of course, I'm a real Sichuan girl." The two began a nonsensical conversation. After rambling for a while, the girl exclaimed, "I can't believe we're actually getting along." Ah Fei said, "Yeah, who would have thought that just 10 minutes ago we were still fighting tooth and nail." Boom boom boom, the two threw fireballs at each other. The girl attacked Ah Fei, "You dog, if you and I have been teleported to the same place, then fate has decided you won't die a peaceful death." Ah Fei hurriedly said, "I've been explaining for so long, but you don't understand." Ah Fei helplessly thought, "This crazy girl keeps chasing and hitting. I can't do anything if this continues, it won't be good, I have to think of something." He raised his hand and said, "Girl, it's all a misunderstanding, let's talk about it." Without letting him continue, Otino unleashed a barrage of fireballs at him. She shouted, "I said, give me all your warrior certificates and then I'll talk to you." Flames blazed around Ah Fei, but he didn't panic and shouted, "I got it, wait." Ah Fei raised his hand in front of his eyes, signaling that he wanted to reconcile. Seeing this, the girl was a little surprised and stopped in mid-air. About 10 steps away from Ah Fei, the fireballs also stopped in their tracks. Ah Fei continued, "Doesn't your sister have feelings for him? Do you want to talk about his news and your sister and gossip about them?" Hearing the word gossip, she was confused. Gossip, her face showed a hint of disbelief. The two started another nonsensical conversation. After talking for a while, Ah Fei realized it was getting late. He said, "It's getting late, let's go find your sister." Otino replied, no need, let's go find my big bro." Ah Fei immediately said, "It's okay, lady first, we should find your sister first." Otino laughed, "Really, no need, wait until you find my big bro, you can always find my sister." The two sat on the tree, arguing. Ah Fei saw that girl was confused and gave up. Tepanai Kingdom, map coordinates X 465, Y 378. At this time, night had returned. A beautiful girl stood under a tree with purple hair that shimmered in the moonlight. After checking her surroundings and her belongings, she mumbled, "Communication tools and maps are temporarily banned. It seems impossible to find Zhan Yu and Ah Fei immediately." Her eyes were filled with sadness as she looked at the lake, thinking to herself that she was alone again. The shimmering lake reflected the moonlight in her sad face, making the scene even more mournful. Memories flooded her mind of a place deep underwater with a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel there was a small room. There, a middle-aged man was sitting in front of the chair and said, "The time for the second phase is a month later. If you have already participated, you must enter the final selection. You are not allowed to embarrass me." As the man spoke, he was still writing something with his pen. On the other side, a girl in a wheelchair replied, "Yes, father." Seeing her agreement, the father said, "You may go." The girl came back to reality thinking, "Mother, today my father met me privately, although he still spoke coldly and didn't even look at me once, but I think he still has me in his heart. He knows I'm participating in the test and hopes I can achieve high results. Although it's very painful." In her mind, the scene in the research room reappeared, where she was tied tightly to a table, her body covered in wires and held in place by 2 iron bars. but I will work hard for myself, don't worry, Mom. Breaking free from her memories, a gold water drop, a small tong, fell, but in the quiet space, it was like a warning bell of impending danger. Sure enough, a demon with the number 999 above its head, with 6 arms and a long tail, was attacking her. A pillar of water shot up, splashing water on the leaves along the road. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Coordinates changed, kingdom, coordinates X, 311, Y, 59, the scene changed, appearing in this area, Xinu was fighting with someone holding a sword in both hands. Is staring at him longingly. Seeing his actions, Xinu couldn't help but doubt this young man. Going back to when Zhanyu was first transported 2 hours ago, the red light brought him to a dense forest. Just landing, he looked around and said, based on the position of the light in the sky and the recent sounds, I guess I'm the only one who got transported to this area. Ah Fei and Luna are not nearby, believing in everyone's strength, they probably won't be eliminated. He pulled the scarf on his neck up to his nose, covering half of his face. The most important thing to do is quickly collect the brave certificates, he said, activating the stealth skill. Introducing his coat, it is called by Yin, the minimum level is level 28, assassin dedicated endurance 100 out of 100, agility plus 90, physique plus 50, resistance plus 30, charm plus 20, the feature can be actively opened, the character can blend into the surrounding environment every 3 seconds, consuming 1% magic power. This state will initiate an attack or being attacked immediately cancel hidden. The set of 3 hop hit design is quite fashionable, the hands are twisted, the tubes under the feet are flared out to wrap around the feet. After activating the function, he started hunting monsters above his head. The monsters were only from 10 to 15 points above his head. Humanoid monsters with scores ranging from 18 to 25. And especially there are giant monsters with scores up to 50. Seeing this, the others also compete for that monster. This is my prey, if I kill you then it's not mine. In the blink of an eye, the monsters in that area were almost wiped out by him. While jumping through the branches looking for the next opponents, he thought, demons have fewer brave certificates than the amount of heavenly people. The weaker the monster, the easier it is to kill, but the more brave certificates there are, the higher the difficulty of killing the monster is for the player's ability. At this time, 226 brave points appeared on him. In short, now killing players who have just killed monsters and are in bad shape will achieve the best results. Speaking of which, he activated the stealth state again and continued to search for new targets. Bang. In a place not far away, 2 people were fighting a giant monster. The brave points received when killing it were 70 points. A girl transmitted purple energy to the young man. Seemingly an elf tribe holding a sword body in armor, he held the sword with both hands, extremely steadily said, Li Ba slash and launched a heaven-piercing slash, cutting the monster in half. The brave points of the monster immediately transformed, turning into streams of energy flying towards the young man. His brave points 40 plus 70, the girl next to him was added 18 points, whispering, Han Xiao, you are so good. Such a powerful monster was easily eliminated by Han Xiao. Being by Han Xiao's side is the safest feeling. Han Xiao couldn't help but smile at this time. This new sword is really a good thing. He raised his hand and held the sword up while admiring the 3 access stones on this short sword that can be called a long sword. The exquisitely carved silver stones stood in front of the corpse of the monster that had just been killed. He couldn't help but feel proud. The girl saw his expression like that, immediately leaned her body close to hug his arm and echoed, stroking the ponytail, and continued, that's right, Han Xiao, I heard that it's very popular to wear helmets these days. Tonight her tone was a bit charming that made Han Xiao couldn't help but excitedly shout oh, not paying attention to a figure appearing behind them. His feet stomped hard on the ground, creating a strong force rushing towards Han Xiao. Seeing the change, Han Xiao was startled and turned around to look. He reacted quickly and immediately threw the woman behind him, blocking the sudden attack. Stunned by what just happened, the girl only had time to scream, Han Xiao. Ignoring the girl's surprise, Han Xiao's face was stern at this time, and couldn't help but be angry, shouting at the person who attacked, damn it, who are you, don't you know the consequences of messing with me? Saying that, he calmly picked up the sword and looked clearly at the person who attacked. Seeing that one attack did not achieve the effect, he couldn't help but be silent. The result was not as expected, forcing him into a battle. This was the last thing he wanted. Continuing to focus his strength on his legs, jumping hard towards Han Xiao. Lu Li at this time wanted to focus on destroying. The sooner Han Xiao was destroyed, the better. Seeing this, Han Xiao jumped backwards, stretching the distance. He shouted, tired of living, holding the sword and slashing out a purple energy. The sword slash flew towards him. But he quickly dodged, slipping behind him, causing Han Xiao to be stunned. He reacted around him, swinging his hand hard, slashing a circle backwards. But it didn't hit anyone. He couldn't help but be annoyed. Damn it, where is he? At this time, he had jumped into the air above Han Xiao's head, not giving him time to realize. He launched a series of slashes at him. His score was added to 350 brave points. Han Xiao died under his agile body and sharp eyes. From behind the tree trunk, a man stepped out and applauded. Good, amazing, amazing. He was a little stunned thinking, there's another person from when, how didn't I notice? This person appeared too mysteriously, making him couldn't help but be vigilant. His brave point still did not appear before his eyes. A slender figure holding a long sword, he said, but the prey that you killed was discovered by me first. If it has been stolen by you, then change the target to you. He said these sentences without a bit of sarcasm, as if you were the one who stole his achievements. Saying that without saying more, the two rushed at each other. In front, green and red intertwined, dust flew everywhere, the atmosphere was full of the smell of soil and rocks. He slashed at him and said, this move can also be blocked, has been blocked. While saying and answering himself, he felt extremely excited, continuously slashing at Zhanyu, but were all blocked by him. Seeing this, he became even more excited, saying, so good, so good. Under his crazy attack, Zhanyu couldn't help but fall into a passive position, only able to defend. But suddenly he made a mistake. He immediately seized the opportunity and said, the skill is a bit poor. Then unleashed a special move, the blade tore open, pushing him backwards. Seeing that he started to use force, he also started to take it seriously. Try me, Lang Nam. Just after chanting the mantra, from behind him a giant wolf phantom appeared, turning into a huge wolf head. From the wolf head, following his command, a giant spirit force shot at him, not making him retreat. But before this attack, he was still indifferent, standing still defending. That guy saw that he was okay and couldn't help but laugh loudly. Haha, you are really very strong. Saying that, he started licking his tongue as if waiting for this prey for a long time, but I am even stronger. He couldn't help but think, this person is indeed the strongest among the players I have ever met, but he doesn't have a brave certificate. Even if I win, it doesn't mean anything. Speaking of this, analyzing the pros and cons, he decided on the best method is to abandon the attack and go to another place to find brave points. But that guy continued to say, hey, my name is Fengya, tell me your name. He remained silent for a moment. Then he stepped into a defensive stance and whispered, Zhanyu. Zhanyu, let's have a good fight, come here. The two of us will turn into two silver-like entities. One is a blue wolf, its body full of electric holes. One side is a giant snake, full of dangerous aura. The sounds of exploding weapons clashing rang out. Zhanyu and Fengya fought from the trees to the bushes. From the dense forest to the empty land, the two people kept colliding and fighting, causing the air to be filled with the smell of killing intent. Fengya attacked fiercely, but Zhanyu also defended firmly. Waiting for an opening to counterattack, the two evenly matched people fought with no clear winner. Suddenly, Zhanyu started to run. Fengya saw this and immediately ran after him. Zhanyu thought that the person he was facing did not look like a human but more like a ferocious wolf, full of madness, wildness and bloodthirsty. Speaking up to hear, he turned to look behind, saw that Fengya had used the skill of transforming energy into a blue wolf to chase after him, completely giving him no chance to breathe, let alone escape from him. Seeing Fengya about to get closer, Zhanyu slashed backwards to dispel the beast form. Fengya felt the aura that Zhanyu gave off. He realized that he was like a poisonous snake. An extremely dangerous poisonous snake. This further stimulated him. He charged towards him, jumped high, slashed. Filled with excited energy he roared loudly, this is great, I will definitely win against you. Seeing him put all his strength into receiving this attack, he also used all his strength to defend. The two swords collided, creating a shockwave that shook the heavens and earth, and the wave created blew away the forest. Flocks of birds spread out around. A huge explosion set a forest fire in a distant place. A group of brave warriors were on patrol and saw this and were stunned. The armored company captain raised his hand to signal the team to stop. The team obeyed the order and stopped in order. Next, the team leader said, "Third brother, fourth brother's free time has been too long, don't cause any trouble again, I'll go find him and bring him back here." The man replied, "Understood, boss." The commander continued to give orders, the others kept their formation and continued to move forward. Back to battle. The scene beside him and Fongya became devastated, the tree roots were blown away, the ground sank deeply, creating long gashes on the ground. He thought that the opponent was starting to show an opening. It seemed that his forte wasn't long-term fighting. He shouldn't be hasty at this time, he should slowly wear him down, in case he launches a final counterattack. Grasping this weakness, he started to want to move to fight a guerrilla war. Fongya didn't realize the situation yet, still shouting towards him, "Great, great, let's go, it's been a long time since we had such a good fight." Having said that, he jumped towards him again, swung his long sword and shouted loudly to attack. Seeing Fongya's speed gradually slowing down, he thought to himself, "Too slow." With his quick movements, he slashed Fongya's shoulder. But after slashing, a strange aura came out from Fongya, making him feel something was wrong. He turned around and saw that Fongya's entire body was emitting a strange aura. The originally blue spiritual energy had gradually turned purple. At this moment, he became more violent, rushed towards him, slashed a slash with such strong impact that it sent him flying far away. Directly smashed several tree trunks in a row. Finally stopping at a large tree, when he looked back at his body to analyze the situation, he realized that he had intentionally exposed his weakness for him to see, and as he continued to exhaust him, his condition slowly improved. Fongya saw that he seemed to understand his situation, and said cheerfully, "Ha ha ha, you are indeed different, you have discovered it, then I have nothing to hide anymore, this is my passive skill, Bloody Song." At this time a dangerous aura of blue and purple was emanating from his body that neutralized each other, continuously radiating to the surrounding environment. Explaining the Bloody Song skill in more detail, when passive, every time the player loses 1% of his health value, his attack power will increase by 1%, if his health value is restored, the passive feature will disappear after 5 seconds. Under the stimulation of the skill, Fongya seemed to become a different person. He rushed towards him more confidently. Said, under the knife tip fought to the death in return for the wound, then launched another slash towards him. Seeing that the situation was not good, he started to retreat, running further and further away. He said, "This person doesn't look like such a stubborn person, he possesses a rare passive epic skill of a high-level boss, and yet he keeps on designing pink holes to make me activate his passive skill." As he ran, he thought to himself that this was a tough opponent. It seemed that normal methods would have a hard time dealing with him. Run to a waterfall, there is a cliff. And on the cliff a group of monkeys were standing there playing together. On top of each monkey get 5 bravery points and the number is quite large. Seeing that, he immediately launched a series of slashes towards the monkeys. Fongya realized this was a skill, the sword tip hunted the enemy. He slashed continuously, killing 26 monkeys at once, then turned back to attack Fongya. The enormous force of the collision between the two people caused the ground to crack. The air shook once again, the air emitted from the sword blew everything away around. How could that be? The enemy hunting sword was broken by him. Seeing this situation, he couldn't help but be surprised that Fongya could do this much. Fongya slowly said, the tip of his sword hunting the enemy. He didn't expect that he would have the same skill as that time-limited boss. Looking back at Fongya, one of his arms, the right arm, was infected with a red aura. It seemed to be very seriously injured. At this moment Fongya remembered the boss's words. Fourth, listen carefully, I won't say it a second time. If you have the chance to encounter the limited time boss, you absolutely must be careful of his predator blade skill. This is a bugged attack creating wounds that constantly stack. Once the boss uses this move, remember there's only one way to counter it. Use the slowest speed to block his consecutive attacks and break him. After remembering what the boss said, Fongya couldn't help but admire. Predator blade, that must be your ultimate move, right? Very impressive. This fight was exhilarating. Then, he raised his sword, pointed it at him, and said, it's a pity, you couldn't kill me. Instead, you helped my passive skill activate to its maximum potential. Zhanyu, the victory is decided, you've lost. Zhanyu, covered in wounds, with his eyes closed, raised the broken sword forward. The victory is decided, for you. This is just a game to determine a winner, but I'm not the same. He thought, I can't lose. After saying this, his entire body released an explosive aura, the surrounding pressure made the ground shake, and the energy created blew everything away. Surprised by his momentum, Fengya exclaimed, why did his momentum suddenly surge, could there be a way out? Slightly stunned by the changes in Jianyu, Fengya quickly regained his composure and laughed loudly, ha ha ha, Jianyu, you're amazing, you've made the blood in my body boil with excitement. The two of them, one standing by the cliff and the other in the forest, stared at each other with murderous intent, oblivious to the fact that in a distant bush, a man was sitting in a tree, whispering, interesting, interesting. His whole body was covered in a light blue outfit, enveloped in a blue energy, he held a bow in his left hand, and his right hand raised an arrow towards the two people in the battlefield. This was a marksman, the third oldest in the team, he said, it's a pity the boss is in a hurry, if I return late, I'll be scolded, sorry. Fourth, let third brother help you. The energy-charged arrow was aimed at Jianyu, ready to be fired. Back on the battlefield, Fengya and Jianyu were about to collide, the two of them charged at an extremely fast speed, creating large gusts of wind that filled everything with murderous intent. Suddenly, an arrow was fired from third, the Myung arrow. This arrow, when fired, would tear through the wind, heading towards Jianyu. The arrow pierced Jianyu's shoulder and passed through, creating a long trail of blood through the air. Fengya was extremely angry. He turned around and said, who's there? At this moment, the archer revealed himself. Fourth, I'm here to help you, Fengya said with extreme annoyance. Why is he here? Suddenly, Fengya sensed a bit of murderous intent in the air and turned around. He unleashed a Lang Lam attack towards Jianyu. The moment the attack was launched, it hit Jianyu. He was severely injured, lost his weapon, and fell into the river. Seeing this, the two of them stood close to the cliff, observing. Third spoke up, Fourth, why hasn't the number of valiant certificates above your head increased? After seeing the attack launched, Third's score hadn't increased, so he asked. Fourth pondered and said, could it be that he's not dead yet? Third said again, Fourth, you didn't intentionally let him go, did you? Fourth's face was slightly gloomy, and he didn't look directly at him, saying, how could that be? Third saw that Fourth wouldn't tell the truth, so he asked, then why did you use Lang Lam and not Lang Tan as your final attack? The meat was served right to your mouth, and you still let it fall, or are you going to give it to third brother? Saying this, Third's face became slightly gloomy. Rushing forward, he slashed his sword, missing and hitting Third's bow, saying, that's my prey. Third, as if he had expected it, said without anger, oh, are you angry? Third brother was just kidding with you. Let's go quickly, don't keep older brother waiting. Fourth saw Third's attitude and couldn't help but feel frustrated, he never makes anyone happy. Then, Fengya turned towards the river. Jianyu, let's continue our fight another time to determine the winner. The sky turned to night. At this time, on Ah Fei and Little Pepper's side, the two of them were walking happily among the fireflies in the forest, a truly dreamy scene. Ah Fei laughed, really or not? Little Pepper looked at him softly, are you sure you're not lying to me? Isn't your brother a perfect male god, handsome, tall, and good at studying? Ah Fei couldn't help but laugh loudly, in your Sichuan dialect, it's, I'll be your son if I lie. Little Pepper, seeing him tease her, laughed and said, huh, you're learning pretty fast. Suddenly, there was movement in the bushes ahead. A goblin with 35 valiant warrior points rushed out of the bushes. Seeing this, Ah Fei stood in front of Little Pepper, quickly activating the fire on his hands. Be careful, quickly hide behind me. Seeing his protective appearance, Little Pepper ran up and pushed Ah Fei behind her, saying, be careful, quickly hide behind me. Ah Fei was slightly stunned by her actions and fell to the ground. Before Ah Fei could realize the situation, Little Pepper unleashed her move, Fire Tornado. The goblin was entangled in the fire tornado, screaming miserably as it disappeared. Above Little Pepper's head, the valiant score was 17 plus 35. Little Pepper turned to Ah Fei and said, it's done. Then, seeing him sitting on the ground, she asked, what are you doing sitting on the ground? Ah Fei said embarrassedly, I slipped and fell. Little Pepper helped him up and continued, let's stand up. Where were we? Ah Fei, seeing Little Pepper getting close, couldn't help but feel a little shy. Thanks we are, he thought, I don't think I've ever communicated like this before. He spoke up from behind, right, Little Pepper, you only talk about your sister, what about you, share a little. The two of them were walking and chatting. Little Pepper, seeing him ask this, replied, "I don't like your brother, what's there to talk about?" Ah Fei, just some small talk, go on, Little Pepper started to tell, "I just graduated from college." Before the two could say anything more, some movement appeared around them, a few more goblins crawled out, but this didn't scare the two of them, and they continued to chat. "The age is perfect." Little Pepper found his statement odd and asked, "What?" Ah Fei replied, "Oh, nothing. What did you major in?" Little Pepper replied, "Animation." As Ah Fei defeated a goblin, he excitedly said, "Animation, I love animation." In his mind, he thought, follow her interests, create a topic of conversation, and get closer to Little Pepper. He continued, "I really admire people who can study and work in their favorite field, producing their own animated raw themes. It's so cool." He thought that praising the other person would stimulate their desire to talk, thinking himself to be extremely understanding and refined, but contrary to his thoughts. The atmosphere on Little Pepper's side became somber. "Admire making your own animation, so cool." As she said this, she grabbed a goblin by the neck. She held the goblin by the neck, and she continued, "At first, I was full of longing and love for animation, so I applied to the university with a major in animation, but who knew that watching animation and making animation were completely different." She used her strength on the goblin as if to vent all her anger on it, continuously hitting it back and forth. Animation has 24 frames per second at a ratio of 1/2 or 1/3, each second requires drawing 8 to 12 pictures, 1 minute is 480 to 720 pictures, 10 minutes is 4800 to 7200 pictures that have to be drawn, and it will only increase. After studying hard for 4 years and graduating, when I went for an interview, I found out that drawing one picture only gets me a few cents. At this point, the goblin in her hand had been beaten to a pulp, with blood splattering everywhere, and it couldn't help but want to die. She continued, "One drawing only gets me a few cents, which is less than what I would make selling fried rice on the side of the road." The more she talked, the more annoyed she became. Finally, the goblin in her hand was beaten to death. Ah Fei, seeing this, tried to defuse the situation and said, "Oh no. Bad start, I think I said something I shouldn't have." I should comfort her. He started sweating and gently said, "Well, although life is a little hard, if we keep trying, I believe that people who dare to do it and persevere, like everyone, will definitely revive the domestic animation industry." The goblin, hearing him say this, cried out in fear. The atmosphere became extremely terrible. Little Pepper didn't say anything, she just angrily released a fire that engulfed the goblin, and it screamed in pain. In the blink of an eye, it vanished in a cloud of gray smoke. Ah Fei, seeing this scene, couldn't help but become speechless. He thought, "What do I do now? What do I do now? The conversation has come to a standstill." I saw everyone on the internet saying this, so where did the problem occur? The awkward atmosphere was about to spill out of the screen. The two of them kept walking, and Ah Fei kept thinking of a way to start a conversation. Suddenly, the two of them came to a small waterfall. Ahead of them was a monster with 299 valiant points. Ah Fei was still oblivious, lost in thought. "Help, someone come and save me." Little Pepper touched Ah Fei, and he finally noticed. Little Pepper was calmer, seeing the monster without changing her expression, only looking a little dazed. Ah Fei immediately asked, "What is that monster? It has almost 300 valiant warrior points." The monster was half intact human, but the other half was completely rotten, its outer layer having disappeared. As it saw the two people, the monster let out a shriek. This shockwave launched towards them, immobilizing them. Little Chili and Ah Fei couldn't help but cover their ears. Ah Fei tried to speak. "It's not good." Little Chili, "Run," she, immobile, managed to say, "Ah Fei, I." Before she could finish, she collapsed heavily to the ground. Ah Fei couldn't withstand it either and fell as well. The underwater monster waved its hand and used a skill, sewing phenomenon. The monster's threads were all over the place. Soon, Ah Fei and Little Chili were sewn together into one person, lying on their backs on the lake. Their faces were dazed, not understanding what was happening. Each of them occupied half of their body, which now looked bizarre, one side bigger than the other.